Welcome back to Java. It is September 28th, September 29th edition. I did start this quite a bit earlier, been trying to put this together, calling it Critical Sector Watch. It's got a lot to do with not just the markets, but a little bit more macro. Some things that I wanted to dive into a little bit more deeply, but I did want to get everything out for the markets earlier in case you are trading indeed. So we've got quite a bit of information here. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments or join us in the Discord. I will have a way for you to join the Discord at the end of this. So let's get started. Now, I've got a little angry mushroom here in the corner because I was at the conference this past week. There was quite a bit of rain. So a lot of these guys, my path on the way, it's true, I did kick a few here and there. So I believe they were a little angry. I think Janet Yellen would have loved the place. So it was very interesting. So I'll talk a little bit more about why you need to save more cash right now. Even a federal rate cut, aside from the rate cut, inflation in general will make your money earn less. We've got to keep some dry powder available in these current times because it could happen at any time. As I'm going to call it, the great sale of our lifetime. So, as I mentioned in the past video, right now we've got current credit to GDP ratio, 245%. Definitely over leveraged, going to continue. The United States is in a massive amount of debt. We've got our construction stalling in the United States. The trade deficit widened, even with the new tariff rules that they've got in place. And we've got massively manipulated oil. I'll go into that a little bit more as well, because oil is defying the OPEC plus price manipulations. That's telling us a lot of things. We're going to see increased inflation, and that is pushing up all real assets. So golds and precious metals are booming. We've also got cryptocurrencies up this morning. Now, I posited a question out to them because if you'll remember, there was back when Yellen was in office, and this is why I bring up the mushrooms to speak about her because I know you all miss her. Now, they had posited a fix for this at one point in time, and it was to mint a massive coin worth $1 trillion and put it on deposit with the Treasury. So, looking forward, this is one of the discussions that we had in the back rooms, if you will, is about revaluation. Now, they could do this one of two ways. I believe they're going to reduce the Treasury, if not get rid of it entirely. I think the goal is to just merge that in as they've got with the Treasury now. So, Federal Reserve will disappear, melt into the Treasury. They'll take the Treasury, revalue either gold and or Bitcoin reserve, that they're going to have this cryptocurrency reserve. So they can, in essence, say that that is worth any value that they would like. And when they do, it will immediately, in essence, create a larger spending limit on the credit card for the United States government that they can go forward, and it will temporarily fix all of their issues. Now, if that sounds ridiculous, it truly is, but that is the current monetary system that we are floating on this pool of fiat gasoline. So, if they do this reevaluation, which I believe they will, and pool in the Treasury, the Fed with the Treasury rather, and get rid of the Federal Reserve altogether, that could fix their problems forward. However, if they do this, we will be in a new hyperinflationary environment. Now, I had mentioned the Japan carry trade. First off, this is a pending threat to the United States monetary system as well as the global situation for trade. So we're watching that one very carefully. And as always, we've got to watch the 10-year yield. It's going to show up there first, either in the 10-year yield or the 2-year, I believe, because it's going to be the short end that will move the fastest. You'll see the rates spike when this happens, either in that 2-year yield will probably show it first, uh, that will show that there is a liquidity event happening, that they are short in this. Why the short end? If you'll remember, they are attempting to kind of borrow, if you will, short term at these higher rates. They are trying to push down and make the Fed drop the long end so that they will refinance the longer term debt at lower rates. Right now it's too high and they cannot do this. So a combination of these things are going to happen. Now, we've got another trend that is happening, and this is affecting the housing market. As I was saying, the US construction is stalling because we've got problems with the housing market. Part of this is due to the illegal immigration reversal, and they've got to either change the policy on this, which I don't see them doing anytime soon. And why is this happening? Because all of these illegal immigrants were getting housing, whether it was subsidized or not. However, this created massive demand that was part of the push for the housing. The Biden administration also gave massive amounts of free money to them, and this, as well as the housing push, also flooded the regular markets through their spending. So this needs also some type of replacement. There needs to be increase in debt. This is all liquidity that is all drying up. This is causing the very high likelihood of that liquidity event, credit squeeze, happening even sooner. So the guideline was, we were thinking probably a year or so, could happen anytime. Was longer, but I'm shortening that period of time unless they replace these issues with something else. So free money has got to flood in. So we've got a possible market drop in the stock market, 30 to 80%. I think 30% is very conservative. Within the next 18 months or less, I believe this very conservative estimate. My true estimate, I actually believe it's going to be more like a 60% drop, probably within the next 6 to 12 months. So, in the crosshairs that we're going to be talking about are the artificial intelligence, blockchain, biotech. These are sectors that are all moving forward at the moment, but they could show serious weakness if this all changes. So we can expect bond prices are going to go higher, yields will drop as bond prices go higher. Until this liquidity event, it will reverse rapidly as people need dollars. So, looking at the US dollar relative strength chart, as people need dollars, it's going to have a rapid rise as well. So, we've got a couple of, that's a very contrarian view, by the way. So, we've got a lot of people calling for the death of the dollar. Now, I agree with that. However, I believe there is going to be a short term period where everyone needs to change in for those dollars, and there will actually be a shortage. In particular, foreign reserves, foreign nations, and the banks. We're watching hedge funds and the likes are too long this market, too green. So when they make this reversal, they're going to need those dollars and they won't be available. So we're going to see a spike in the need for dollars. So we've got, what could happen is this margin squeeze for companies that is going on right now because of all of the inflation. That is, since companies are dropping their profits, they have to cut back on their costs. So layoffs coming. Constriction of their profits just means they need to lean out their business. They're going to drop their production. They're going to stop spending on capital expenditures and lay off people. So the combination of less jobs, less people working, and them spending less is going to start that vicious cycle, and it's going to implode very rapidly. So, with all of this, you want to be ready for this as soon as it comes in. So, with all of this, the important note is that our government is bankrupt. So, the United States government owes bondholders at the current moment over $37 trillion and on that debt. So they've also got a deficit in Social Security is over $100 trillion. And these debts all come due within this next decade. So they cannot afford to keep pushing these short-term rates forward. So in between now and then, they've got to refinance this debt. So this is a serious issue they are facing forward. Now, we can take advantage of this because when this happens, all you have to do is borrow at fixed rates, low leverage, and buy good assets, whether that's gold, silver, going forward, good businesses, good stocks. So with this, we've got this retail jobs apocalypse on the horizon. We've got the defense sector is poised to continue growth, both internally as we're deploying troops in, for instance, Chicago as well as DC, and the growing artificial intelligence sector, external wars. We've got Ukraine ongoing. We've got the whole Israel issue, Iran, and the like. So war is going to continue. Taiwan could be on the horizon with China, and we will be expected to back them up. Now, I want to talk about energy as well. We've got a massive squeeze going on as well with energy. We'll talk about small modular nuclear reactors. And we've also got a new possible hyper jump to new matter. Now, this could affect data infrastructure future in general. So if you would look back to the internet boom, there was massive spending on infrastructure as far as putting in copper cabling. What happened was that there was a technological jump to wireless as well as fiber. The copper cabling became extinct. So we've got something similar going on right now, I believe, with all of these data infrastructures. Now, there has been a new matter that has been discovered. It's not deployed yet, but this matter is suitable for quantum. It has a memory within the matter. And what this could, in short, do is make these massive data infrastructure centers obsolete. We would need way less for these, as well as the power and the water. And I think that's going to be a major drive forward. So with this, we've also got real estate, which is linked to the data centers that they're buying at massive properties, and insurance as asset and market drivers. Now, I've got Celebrate here. This is a reminder. I spoke about this previously, but this is a company. They are kind of spiked forward with artificial intelligence. They are keyed into all government database systems. They are currently used by all of the United States law enforcement for data on people that they're pulling now. This is tied into your driver's license and a lot of your information. And they are on a subscription service with all of the government agencies locally. I expect them to continue forward, and they are going to couple along with Palantir as well as some hardware. So this is one of the major discussions we were having, is how all of this ties in. So let's take a quick look at artificial intelligence, robotics, and jobs. This is a little bit of one of what they were talking about forward at the conference. And they are talking about employment for software developers. In short, all of these are getting crushed with artificial intelligence. Now, AI is going to open up jobs in different sectors. But as far as this is right now, it is causing problems because all of the coders and all of the lower end analysts, any of these types of jobs are getting crushed. Now, this study is kind of showing that these are the tickers in the companies that could potentially be affected by this. Broadcom, Nvidia, Google, Meta, Oracle, Microsoft. So you're going to see these coming up in a bit. Now, this structure that I've got posted here is as business. how you're going to be affected by these things and how they all interconnect. So we've got robotics, the wearables are also in this, larger business models. We're looking at connectivity and then how all of these happen through quantum computing. Blockchain, cryptocurrencies also included with this. This is the guided move forward. So I'll let you look at this a little bit later, and we can do deep dives into this during Discord sessions. Now, energy. I want to speak about this because this is a huge one going forward. Now, nuclear reactors take quite some time going forward. I do believe uranium is going to be on the upswing because there will still be a need for increased power as well as nuclear down the road. However, what they're looking at for these data centers, which seems to be a bit more, seems to be a little bit more appropriate, if you will, are what they're calling small nuclear reactors. Okay, they are on-site deployable molten salt reactors, and they've come up with these. They've made these actually practicable, and these are much smaller. They are what they call walk-away safe, and they have less of the issues as the larger reactors. Now, these are, in short, good for data centers locally on site instead of having these huge ones down the road. So, this is the whole question: can they help the artificial intelligence boom and help fight climate change? So, they're not going to help fight climate change because, in short, in reality, the world is going to use up as much energy as it possibly can, which means they're going to burn all the coal they can and all of the oil they can. And I am sorry if that is upsetting news to the environmentalists, but that is in actuality what is going to happen, whether it is in Europe or whether they just allow China to do it. It is going to occur. So, cat bonds and real estate. Just a little bit of note about this. CAT stands for catastrophe. So, catastrophe bonds, in short, for the main part, are insurance. And this was one of the largest plays that came out of the last depression. It is indeed how Berkshire Hathaway made the bulk of his funding, if you will, because he get paid upfront and then only pay out on those claims that you have to. So going forward, this is going to be a sector I believe is going to continue. Insurance is a major headwind for real estate at this moment for privately owned real estate. Massive difference. So this is something that I thought was very interesting as far as home pricing, because there's different sectors of real estate. So this is mainly speaking about residential at the moment. Now, home price is far outpacing the government's inflation measure. They measure by what they call the owner's rent, which really it doesn't match up. But the navy blue line is the government's inflation measure of housing, which is why it doesn't match up with the reality of what people are paying. Now, the orange line is Case-Shiller Index. This is, in short, measured by the price of resale homes. So a little bit more accurate. They get actual numbers. And while it's a lagging indicator, it is a little bit more, as I said, accurate. Now, the interesting part of these two charts is that this one is adjusted for gold index. So, in short, indexed with the inflation. So, as priced by gold, it is actually showing that housing is 20% cheaper than it was in 1995. So, the massive issue with increase in price has a lot as well to do with property taxes and insurance. And they have not released a lot of these reports, but the numbers for themselves in the backdrop of what people are actually paying is supporting all of this. So I expect we'll see a little bit more of that soon. So insurance going forward will continue. Now, we'll see how artificial intelligence is also in this sector, believe it or not. assessing risk to different areas, and as it pulls in this data, we could see a little bit of a difference in what people pay. How it's going to affect it directly with costs, I'm not sure yet, but I do know it's going to be involved much more in the sector moving forward. Now, CBDC and payment systems, formerly known as banking, because I expect this is going to be taken over very rapidly as well. And we've got some very kind of alarming stories come out of this. So I've taken a lot of heat over saying a lot of these things forward before, but now that they're coming to play, it's not so big a deal. Now we've got SWIFT partnering with Consensus to build a blockchain settlement system. This is the massive flag that CBDCs are incoming. So we've got this SWIFT to launch their own blockchain in response to the rise of stable coins. I put this in here and then this story came out right after. So not coincidental. It's happening at a very rapid pace. I used to be a lot earlier on these things, but I can't keep up now. So we've got Ethereum overtaking Tron. Now they are the primary blockchain for USDT, and they are growing massively and rapidly between the two stable coins, USDT and USDC. We spoke about these before. So, in my opinion, these are the two main ones that are going to be stable coins / CBDCs. We've got the largest Middle East bank, in short, it's Qatar Middle East Bank, switching to JP Morgan blockchain for real-time payments. Now, this is ironic because JP Morgan, for the longest time, saying that it was all nonsense, they would never have anything to do with it. And now in the backdrop, you see they're doing something other than what they said, and that is they're trying to grab up all of the blockchain customers they can prior to it becoming public. So another thing that I wanted to bring out, and it's amazing that no one else seems to be picking up on this. Billionaire Larry Ellison of Oracle becoming the most powerful US media mogul ever. This is because he's picked up TikTok. No one's asking why. The value in TikTok to him is the data. So now he owns massive numbers of people with their not just facial recognition, but also motions, movements, walking, gait, voices, and others to train AI with. And that's a massive amount of data that they've been after. Now, I want to bring up something else. This is kind of an interesting conversation that came up. And talking about financial advisors going forward, got a lot of people were asking me why they cannot seem to find good financial advisors. And in short, all of these stories are coming out on Market Watch all at the same time, and they all have to do with the same thing. And it's not being able to find good financial advisors is the very kind of basic translation of this. Now, why this is happening, you have to take a look at the demographics for, in particular, the United States. However, this is kind of happening globally, and I've spoken about this before. We've, in short, got a nation in decline. This is a population decline. And what has happened is we've got a set of, they call them baby boomers, but larger amount of people that are now retiring, this age where they do need asset advisors. However, the younger generation, not enough, have studied to become competent financial advisors. So if you're going out there and you're shopping, you've got quite slim pickings. You've got a lot of new people that have been pushed through the courses and allowed to come through, and they aren't as qualified necessarily as others. So the short advice is you just have to shop a little bit harder, spend a little more time digging in, and think about this, please, because these are the people that you're handing over your money and your retirements over to. So make sure it's someone that you can trust, that knows what they're doing. Try to get backgrounds on them, because you could have some of these situations happen to you. And one of the short ones is this: you've got an 86-year-old only getting $398 a month from an annuity. So he's got over $1 million in investments, but only getting a small amount because it's mismanaged. And at this point in time, it's locked up. So he cannot get the rest of his funds. And this is probably can be locked up for periods of 10 years. So you want to be careful about these things going forward. Now, if you want to discuss some of these things, we've also got more talks about energy. I'm just kind of hitting some of these things lightly because we can go into these in the discussions for Discord. If you have any questions, you can leave them below. You can email me. I leave my direct email address, or join us in the Discord now. If you want to join us for Discord, you're going to have to type this in. I can't put a link in the description. It always gets taken out. So I know this is a pain, but I'm going to leave it here. You can phrase it on this. Once you're there with that link, create a profile. Once you get a profile, you're going to look on the left, go to the welcome, go in here first, click on that heart logo that's in there. This controls robots from coming in and disrupting our conversations. Okay, so once you've done that, on the left side, you will also see conference. Now, our conferences are only Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and feel free to join us when you're there. However, we may have other conferences at different times we will kind of announce. Other than that, you want to be in the main chat here to start with, and if you need any help, reach out and ask us so that we can help you in with this. You can also go to once you're in the conference, you'll need to adjust your settings and volume. Under your profile here, you can mute yourself, and this is the settings. So click on here for your volume levels. You need any help with this, again, reach out to us. So in the meantime, I wish you all a wonderful rest of your day. Hope to see you in, and until I see you again, my friends, as always, resist.